Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we are going to unlock one of the most essential, literally foundational building blocks of the entire Spanish language. We are talking about the verb tener. And, this isn't just any regular verb. It's the ultimate tool for expressing what we have in our backpacks, stating how old we are, and even describing dozens of everyday feelings, like when you're hungry or scared. By the end of this explainer, you are going to feel incredibly confident using it in real life. So here is our roadmap for today. First up, we'll meet el verbo tener. Second, noticing grammar patterns. Third, conjugating tener correctly. Fourth, how to use tener. And finally, the cinco labitos counting game. Let's just jump right in. All right, section 1, meet el verbo tener. Now, think about all the things you have right now. Maybe a backpack, a family, a birthday coming up, or a pet waiting for you at home. In Spanish, the verb tener handles all of those big ideas, plus a whole lot more. It is basically the core engine for expressing possession and state of being. But before we actually look at the verb itself, I need to share a crucial memory tip with you. Ojo. I'll say it again, ojo. Literally, this means eye in Spanish, but Spanish speakers actually use it all the time to mean watch out or pay attention. So whenever you see the word ojo in your Spanish studies, I want you to picture two big dramatic eyes demanding your absolute undivided focus on the crucial grammar that's coming up. Moving on to section 2, noticing grammar patterns. Okay, ojo, pay attention here. We're going to frame this section as a bit of a linguistic investigation. I'm going to show you 5 Spanish sentences. I want you to read them carefully and see if you can figure out the slightly bizarre mechanics of the verb tener all on your own. It's like a puzzle. I'll read the Spanish out loud, and I want you to echo it back to me right after. Ready? Sentence 1. Tengo una mochila roja. Now you say it. Tengo una mochila roja. That means I have a red backpack. Sentence 2. ¿Tienes un gato o un perro? Your turn. ¿Tienes un gato o un perro? That means, do you have a cat or a dog? Sentence 3. Ella tiene 15 años. Echo. Ella tiene 15 años. That translates to, she is 15 years old. Sentence 4. Nosotros tenemos mucha tarea. Your turn. Nosotros tenemos mucha tarea. That means, we have a lot of homework. And sentence 5. Ellos tienen una casa grande. Echo. Ellos tienen una casa grande. Which means, they have a big house. So, ¿qué notas? What do you notice here? If you look at that first sentence, the yo form, which is the I form, is tengo. It ends in go. Ask yourself, is that really what you'd expect from the regular verb patterns you already know? Usually the yo form just ends in a simple o, right? But here, we have this totally surprising go ending. That right there is our very first clue that tener is a little rebellious. Now, what's really fascinating is the second pattern, ¿qué notas? Do you see how the e changes to ie? Just think about the forms we saw in the previous sentences. Tienes, tiene, tienen. The root, or the stem, ten, suddenly turns into tien. But wait, did you happen to notice that for nosotros tenemos, it just stayed an e? That is what we call a classic stem-changing pattern. Okay, here is the final clue in our investigation. ¿Qué notas? Did you catch that one of those sentences actually translates into English using the verb to be instead of the verb to have? Think back to the third sentence. Ella tiene 15 años. Literally, it translates to she has 15 years, but in English we say she is 15 years old. Spanish uses tener to express age. How cool is that? Let's head into section 3, conjugating tener correctly. Excellent detective work back there. Let's go ahead and formalize those rules you just brilliantly figured out on your own. Because tener is one of the absolute most important verbs in Spanish, and because it is pretty irregular, we simply have to memorize its forms. So I'll say each form and you echo after me. For yo or I, tengo. For do or you informal, tienes. For él, ella, usted, meaning he, she, you formal, tiene. For nosotros or we, tenemos. And for ellos, ustedes, meaning they or you all, tienen. Do you see the shape these irregular forms make on the chart? Everything except nosotros has that e to ie change. We actually call this the boot pattern, because if you draw a line around tengo, tienes, tiene, and tienen on a typical chart, it looks exactly like a boot, leaving tenemos all by itself outside of it. So, the absolute most crucial point here is the irregular yo form. Incorrect yo tenno. You should never, ever write or say tenno. Look, it's a completely natural mistake to want to follow the regular pattern, but we have to resist. The correct form is yo tengo. Let's just lock this into our brains right now. Say it out loud with me 3 times. Ready? Tengo, tengo, tengo. Perfect. You are definitely never going to forget it now.
All right, section 4, how to use tenor.
We've done the hard work, right? We built the tool and we memorized the forms. Now let's actually put it into practice with 2 of its primary uses. First up is simple possession. Tengo un gato. I have a cat. It's direct, everyday ownership. The second use is age. Tengo 12 años. I am 12 years old. And this brilliantly illustrates our earlier discovery. Spanish speakers say they possess or have years of age rather than saying they are a certain age. It's kind of a neat way to think about it. You accumulate years just like you accumulate books in a backpack.
And finally, section 5, the Cinco Lobitos counting game.
Let's see how this verb builds into real-world culture. There is this beloved nursery rhyme and counting game played with babies and young children all across Latin America and Spain. Let me read you the lyrics of this classic song. Cinco lobitos tiene la loba, blancos y negros detrás de la escoba. Cinco crió, cinco cuidó, y a todos los cinco tetita les dio. The song basically translates to, the mother wolf has 5 little wolves, white and black behind the broom. In this game, a parent gently wiggles the baby's fingers one by one while singing. It is just a perfect, warm example of how Spanish-speaking families pass on language, counting skills, and affection all at the exact same time. Let's break down those reading comprehension steps together. First, we count the wolves. The song mentions cinco lobitos. The Spanish word for the number 5 is cinco. Second, in the finger game, what part of the body do you think represents each little wolf? Exactly, a finger. 1 wiggle per wolf. Third, if a child has 5 fingers on one hand and we reach all the wolves using both hands, that gives us 10 wolves total. And the Spanish word for 10 is diez. Which brings us to our final point, and a question I'd really love for you to ponder. This is clearly a song for very young children, yet adults and older kids absolutely love it too. Why do you think that is? I mean, perhaps it's the nostalgic power of a simple finger game, the memory of warmth and family, and the realization that language is just so much more than memorizing grammar charts. It's about connection. So the next time you use the verb tener to say what you have, will you think of a red backpack, the years you've accumulated, or maybe 5 little wolves? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep practicing your Spanish.